So first off, I lied. The title of this video is about 50-cent paints, and guess what? They're not 50 cents anymore. The apple barrel paints that you can buy at like Walmart or wherever around you, they're actually 58 cents. So sorry about that. But blame the economy, not me. I had nothing to do with it. But for today, we're going to talk about 58-cent paints and whether or not you should have them among your hobby stuff and whether or not you should use them at all. So let's talk about it. So a couple weeks ago, I did a video on the biggest lie in miniature painting. And simply put, the lie was that paints you use don't matter. You can catch that video here if you're interested. And the point that I argued was that, yeah, the paints do matter. Okay? So why am I talking about 58-cent apple barrel paints today? Well, that's simple. Because throughout most of this hobby, most of the time that I've been in it, they're the paints that I've used. Okay, I haven't had it in me to spend, $100+ on a new paint range, especially when my whole goal from the beginning of this was to get as many people involved in the hobby as possible. And so I thought the best way to do that was to keep things as cheap as possible. And if you don't believe me that it works, look at your favorite YouTubers, your favorite content creators. Generally, they'll have a video about cheap paints or cheap brushes or cheap this, that, and the other. And guess what? Some of those are some of their best viewed videos. Because everyone knows this hobby's expensive. Everybody's looking for a way to do it a little bit cheaper just because of how expensive it is. I mean, memes aren't funny about how girlfriends are going to kill people because they're buying Warhammer for no reason, right? This stuff is expensive. And so we're always looking for a way to make it cheaper. And paints are a big part of that, especially because one paint is not enough. You generally want every freaking color that you can get your hands on. And by the time you've got 50 bottles of paint, the difference between 58 cents and $4 to $5 a bottle is a huge difference. What place do these paints have? Simple. They are a fantastic starting point. A first step into this hobby. You've already bought your models, okay? You've got your glues, you've got whatever you need. You put your models together and you want to try. You want to see if this is the hobby for you. These paints are perfect to get started. Most of what I've done has been with just these paints. Every now and then I'll add something else in, but for the most part, they are a great tool to get into the hobby with. But the problem is, it shouldn't be your third or fourth step in this hobby. Because by then, after a year, well, when you're to the point where I'm at apparently, you get tired of painting things and having it take so long. This is the latest Warmachine model, Razor. Okay. It is an absolutely fantastic model. I love Warmachine. We'll talk about that more in other videos. But I wanted to paint this thing, so I primed it. I got it ready. The day I got the box, this thing was primed and ready to go because I wanted to paint it so badly. And I thought, I bet I can paint this thing in 4 or 5 hours, I wasn't looking to do an incredible paint job. I just wanted to do something that would be able to get it on the table and feel good about it. I have now been painting it for over 8 hours. Over 8 hours of painting. And the reason that it's taking so long is because the colors that I chose, Kelly green for the green, I have to put this on 4 or 5 coats just to get a nice coverage, just to get coverage that I like. Could I layer it on super thick? Yes. Could I dab it on? I see people all the time who are talking about just like dot it on. Okay, yeah, I can do that. But then the problem is that when it dries, I have this nice, really weird textured finish. And when I'm trying to do something that's smooth and, like metal, it doesn't look good. So I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot with doing multiple layers, but I want it to look good. So that's the price I pay. It's too much time. You hear in this hobby, you hear the saying too thin coats. That's because all it should take is 2 thin coats to get good coverage. And that's not even a full on just like paint coat. That's a thinned down paint. So imagine that, thinning your paint with water, putting it on, it should still only take 2 coats. Not 4, not 5, not 6. Okay? So make sure that if you're using them, that it's just to start out. And then start investing. You don't have to buy the box set. Sure, it's going to be cheaper in the long run, but start off with a starter set. Get 20 paints, colors that you can mix and match, and try that out first. Okay? But I still think you should buy them. And I know that might sound crazy, but these paints, they have a lot of use. And one of the best things about them is how big they are. Okay? 59 milliliters, 2 fluid ounces for 58 cents. That is a lot of grass. That is a lot of trees. You know, that is a lot of terrain. These are fantastic for when you're doing terrain of any kind. Sure, you might have to put down a couple coats, but at the same time, you can put those coats down nice and thick with terrain because it doesn't usually matter so much. Okay, and that doubles with bases. You know, if you want a nice black ring around your base, this black is actually fantastic. It actually covers really, really well. So it's not a bad one to choose. Or, you know, if you want to do ocean bases or things like that, you got the different colors, you got different things that you can use. And if you screw up, who cares? Because it was 58 cents. With that being said, I don't want to deter people from this hobby. There are so many things to spend money on. There's so many ways to save money too. And if you want to use these paints forever, you can. You can. I'm just saying that if you want to grow and increase your skill as a painter, the painting side of this hobby, well then, you might want to invest in paint with more pigment, higher pigment content that's just going to make it so an 8 to 9 hour miniature only takes you 3 to 4 hours. And with that leftover 3 to 4 hours of time, guess what you can do? You can really get to work on that miniature. And what I mean by that is this miniature right now, Razor, this is just tabletop ready. That's all that this is. And it's not even done. I haven't even painted his feet yet. Okay. But I'm going to use the next week to paint this more and to do fine detail on it. I'm going to take it from tabletop ready to painted art piece, at least in my mind, ready. And we'll see how long that takes. And I will switch it up. I'll try and use a little bit better paints. I'll use other things so that we can kind of see how that is. So if that interests you at all, like, subscribe, stick around. That'll come out next week. And so, yeah, I mean, if you want to invest in some of these paints just to get yourself started, it's never a bad idea. You will always use them. You will always find a way to use them. And throughout your hobby journey, you'll probably keep buying them. So if you're looking for a good place to start, cheap hobby paints can be a really good one. Like I said, it's going to take longer. But if you're okay putting a little bit of elbow grease in, that shouldn't be a problem. And maybe you think I'm crazy. Maybe you think that right off the bat, you should get the best paints so that you're not wasting time. And that's a totally valid point. You know, if you think it's a waste of time, let me know why. I'd love to hear it. In my mind, it teaches you how paint works. It teaches you what bad paint looks like so that if you get a bad pot in the future or something like that, don't waste your time on it. Move on to something else. Okay, and it teaches you that because once you've had to do a 4th or 5th coat, you realize you probably don't want to do that very much anymore. So move on to something bigger, something better. Thank you for joining us today as we talk about this and for taking a look at some of the models that I painted over the last year with these hobby paints. I hope to paint more in the future. I hope to get me some really good paints here pretty soon. And so when that happens, I hope you're here. I hope you stick around and see what I'm able to paint and what a difference it makes, because I'm hopeful that it will make a lot larger of a difference than I originally thought. And hopefully I can share that with you. So stick around. Thank you for coming as always. And don't forget, don't spend so much time making your world, painting it. that you forget to spend some time in it. Until next time.